Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the most magical podcast in the Midwest, the Magic in the Midwest podcast, starring USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, Ashley Michaels. And now, your hosts. Oh, wow, thanks, announcer. Appreciate that. That was a very nice announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? It has been 52 episodes.
Wow.
52 episodes of the Magic in the Midwest podcast, ladies and gentlemen. That makes us on the calendar doing this for a year.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy. That is just crazy. I mean, what a year it's been, you know?
Not always good.
Not a great year.
Well,
in ways, obviously in external ways, it was a rough
year.
Real rough.
But you know what? With everything that happened, that's sort of what gave us the push to just go ahead and do it. You know, do it now. And so that's what we decided last March. I remember we were on a walk and we're like, you know what? Let's just start.
Yes, I'm with you.
Here we are.
And here we are a year later.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about...
And we're basically celebs now.
Yeah, we're total celebs. We can't go anywhere without someone wanting an autograph. It's crazy, you guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Press outside the house right now.
Not really.
No.
Not really. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for subscribing. Those who are listening to us anyway, just in general, and also member Bandcamp, Magic in the Midwest podcast.bandcamp.com, where you can get more episodes. Exclusive episodes just to Bandcamp. There's a ton of extra content on there right now for as little as $3 a month. You can do that and help support the podcast and keep the podcast going. Which is really exciting for us. We just really love talking about the parks and the theme parks and helping people navigate their trips. And
we do. I feel like this is always a highlight of our week.
Yes, it is. It is. So. Just please, go check out those Magic in the Midwest podcast.bandcamp.com episodes. They're really funny episodes. They get a little off the rails on purpose, but, and sometimes not on purpose, but it's really fun. They're really fun. A lot of SmackDown episodes and our top fives and lists episodes and all sorts of fun stuff that we kind of put into those Bandcamp exclusives. And also, we have, other people that we want to give a shout out to. Emily at Magical Mouse Travel, somebody who we met through the podcast and who can help you with your trip.
Yeah, she's a vacation planner and she specializes in Disney and Universal, but she can book all travel, including cruises and inclusive resorts. Of course, that's at no cost to you. And she can help you with all the other things that go along with that, like dining and fast passes, and she will monitor for savings and can arrange airport transfers for you and also create customized itineraries for you and your family. You can contact her via email at emily@magicalmousetravel.com. She's super awesome, really nice to talk to. She's very sweet, and I feel like we've become good friends through this connection. But one of the things I want to mention, too, is that she will, all those times that you're on hold with Disney or wherever trying to figure things out, she does all that for you. And sometimes she'll post, the times that she's waited on the phone, an hour and 10 minutes or whatever. So it's kind of nice to think that your vacation wouldn't cost any more, and actually possibly less, because she'll see savings that maybe you wouldn't catch. And she deals with all that stuff that, is kind of a headache, the contacting them about things and stuff like that. So definitely check her out. She is really great and very knowledgeable and will be very helpful to your travel plans.
Yes, exactly. So, we're excited to continue through year 2 of Magic in the Midwest podcast. It's fun because there's always something changing. There's always something new in the world of theme parks, especially down in Orlando. And we're not gonna stop there. We're gonna talk about other theme parks as well. And that's we're resuming our our normal like episodes. We had 4 parts of our special Disney trip that we took, but now we're headed back into Universal's Islands of Adventure, and we talked about the first podcast that we covered Islands was an overview podcast, and then the second one we talked specifically about Marvel's Superhero Island and the awesome attractions that you could find there. Well, if you were to continue on through Marvel's Superhero Island, you'll make it into Toon Lagoon, which is, what's interesting about this area of the park is part of me wonders if there were to be, because they already basically got rid of one other side of the park, which is the Lost Continent. I mean, it's still there, but there's really not a whole lot in it anymore because it's majority taken up by Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Hogsmeade.
Right.
But I'm wondering if Toon Lagoon will be the next to get like a total overhaul. I mean, I really like this area. I think it's cool, but it's also more like comic strip tunes, like comics like in the newspapers and stuff like that, like old school ones, and like old school like Dudley Do-Right and Popeye, and there's just like those types of cartoon characters are a little, I mean, I don't want to say, I guess I could say it, I guess dated, like nothing really has been done with them,
right,
in the last, I don't know how many years, but I mean, there's obviously still cartoons, comic strips in syndication that are showcased in this area. But it is like, I'll be honest, out of all the islands, it's the most like kind of like, I feel like people just kind of overlook this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Toon Lagoon. Like, it's just sort of like, oh, Toon Lagoon. And then people don't even like look.
I feel like it's mainly just, I think people think of Dudley Do-Right as its own thing.
Right.
And then that's it.
They pretty much just think about Dudley Do-Right, I think.
Well, because I'm looking at the list and I'm like, now wait a minute, what else is this?
Well, yeah. In Toon Lagoon, let's just go over it real quick. In Toon Lagoon, we've got Me Ship the Olive, which is a ship that you could like play on, like kids can actually go on and walk around on and
right.
And play
okay,
on.
I remember that.
Yeah, which is cool, but like it's so out of, like, you kind of have to go out of the way, like you have to kind of walk further in towards the lagoon, and most people do just totally just bypass it. I feel. I mean, in my, and then you've got Popeye's and Popeye and Bluto's Bilge-Rat barges, which actually set on fire not that long ago, which is odd, right? Because it's a water ride, and it's set on fire.
Of all the rides.
But and then you've got Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, and then some places to eat, like the Comic Strip Cafe. I mean, to be honest, I think if you want food and you don't want to be around a lot of people, I never really see this area filled with people. And
people just walk.
People walk right past it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a walk right through Island, in my estimation. Now, if you're a big Toon Lagoon fan, that's great. We're not like dissing Toon Lagoon. But it's just one of those areas of the park that, like, aesthetically, I think you know what it is. I think you go from Marvel's Superhero Island, which is very comic booky, a very like comic like book, and then you go to Toon Lagoon, it's very comic strip. So there's like, and the aesthetics are not that different. Yeah,
it kind of just feels like an extension.
It does in a way.
Like you're kind of like, okay, we're kind of leaving this part, and it's kind of the same and kind of different, and okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big amphitheater.
Now we're going to go to Jurassic Park.
Over here, too, where they would have, like, the Bill and Ted show when they actually had the Bill and Ted show over in Islands of Adventure. But, yeah, like, it's a part of the park that I feel like it is sort of just not, it's not packed, really, ever. At least in my estimation. I've been there a few times, but and you're not like, oh, I can't wait to go to Popeye's Bilge-Rat barges, and I can't wait to go to Dudley Do-Right's. You just don't.
Do you think some people like Dudley Do-Rights, though? I feel like some people
I think
probably
it's
like
a good thrill. It's a good drop. It's a good
question.
thrill
Okay, so
ride.
I've never done anything in this.
Oh, you haven't?
Oh, I've never done
Really?
Dudley Do-Rights. I mean, if I did when I was 16, I don't have any memory of that. I remember Hulk, I remember Spider-Man, I remember Jurassic Park. That's kind of what sticks in my mind.
See?
And
You
then
kinda
like
just overlook
at the time it was Dueling
Dudley.
Dragons was there,
Yeah.
and I remember that too. But what was I gonna say? Something. Is it like an extensive ride like Splash Mountain? Like
Yes, it's a log ride. It's a decent ride. The only thing about Dudley Do-Right, it's like really... I'm going to say one word. I wonder if a bunch of other people will either jump on my back or will agree with me.
I'm excited to see.
Jank. It's just janky.
Okay.
It's like the animatronics they're not, well, first off, they're not animatronics.
Okay.
There's no animatronics. It's a bunch of like animatics, I think they call them. Like they're not fully functional like movement fluid audio animatronics. Like they're sort of just, they kind of just move their head back and forth.
Okay.
And then they have like a lot of sound going through it, and it, like it's
kind of like
you can kind of
we kind of phoned it in a little.
I mean, you kind of get on the ride, and especially when you're comparing it to something as iconic as Splash Mountain, which basically it's a log flume ride, right? So it's the same. That's what you'd compare it to. It's just janky. It's, it's cool. It's big. The drop is bigger and like a double drop, basically. It's kind of cool, but it's just jankier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think most people would
line
agree.
is pretty long too. Like the line always kind of slows down because of the nature of the log flumes, like the way they load them.
Right.
So it just kind of takes a little bit. Like you'll get to a point and then it slows a little bit. It's charming. I mean, it's remember Dudley Do-Right. We were like, it was like 20 years before we were even born that Dudley Do-Right was on television. Like.
Right.
Like,
I don't even
like
know
these cartoons were on in like the 60s and maybe 70s.
Which is kind of cool in a way. But
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I
right.
like that. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for preserving cartoon history and things like that. But it is weird, like it is kind of like, if you didn't know, like I bet you kids had no idea who Dudley Do-Right is.
I didn't know that
yeah.
was a cartoon.
It was part of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show and all that stuff.
Okay.
Like it was the same studio, and I can't remember what studio it is. But I think it might be Hanna-Barbera.
But I mean, okay, so your experience on the ride though has always been
It's fun.
Okay.
But I mean, if Dudley Do-Right were to shut down, I would not be crying.
You wouldn't be like, oh man, I'm not going back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then Popeye's Bilge-Rat barges, Popeye and Bluto's Bilge-Rat barges, is a water raft ride that is, you'll get soaked. Like the whole point, they literally like basically pour water on you.
Oh, okay. So
Both of these are water rides.
Okay. So on Dudley's you also get
Yes.
soaked.
It's a log flume, and you don't get soaked on Dudley's.
Oh,
you can.
Okay.
You can.
I'm thinking
you
of
get
the story.
wet.
I'm thinking of the story.
Yeah. Our friend Katie decided that she didn't realize it, at the time, but we were really dumb. She was wearing white pants, and we went on Dudley Do-Rights.
I love it.
So if you ask her to this day about Dudley Do-Right, she hates the ride. She'll go on it, but she kind of always is like, I can't believe
the story
this.
that always gets told,
It's
and
very funny.
Everyone laughs.
It's very
and
funny,
Yes,
yes.
I always look forward to that story.
Yeah, it's a funny story because she was super ticked after because she, for some reason, she got more soaked than the rest of us, and her white pants were soaked as well. So, it made for an interesting rest of the day. But, but yeah, it's a fun ride, but it's nothing like. I think this is the area where they were like, okay, it's Central Florida.
This isn't the area with the must-dos.
No. But I get it. Like, if it's a super hot day,
That's what you're going to want to do.
you're going to go, hey, let's go on Popeyes, or let's go on Dudley Do-Rights, and let's, cool off for a little bit,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get that. You do need a water ride, but then you also have a water ride with Jurassic Park, but, I mean, you don't get super wet. You do get a little wet. But, yeah, so Toon Lagoon is cool. I mean, there's a bunch of, callbacks to different characters. There's a cool like fountain that like shoots upwards,
Okay.
like that like hydrant or something. I mean, it's a cool area.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of the I just feel like it's something that. And Dudley Do-Right just is a huge footprint as well. I mean, it takes up a lot of space. So
I mean, it looks cool. Like when you walk past the drop, like
Yeah.
it looks cool. I've never
I
been
mean,
on it.
Yeah, the whole I mean, aesthetically, I like the look of it.
Yeah.
Like they did a really nice job, and I think they just repainted it not that long ago. It does look neat. There's a big waterfall. There's like these mountains, and like obviously because it's supposed to be Canada, because it's Dudley Do-Right is a Mountie. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun. I mean, I wouldn't discourage people from going on it. It's cool. But I will tell you this: you have you're going to get absolutely soaked on Popeyes. You may not get that soaked on.
See, that would be a pass for me. I don't want to get absolutely soaked. Like maybe when I was, younger,
right?
I wouldn't care, but
right.
now,
You don't want to do that.
Splash.
Yeah, you're
is,
a bit of
like
a
a
crab.
splash is fine. I just don't want to be walking through with like soaked shoes and soaked clothes.
Right,
and
right.
Then be hot and sweating, and which part of it's sweat and which part of it's water, and
Yeah.
be soggy all day.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Pass.
I understand.
But I'm also a crank, so.
You are a bit of a crank when it
Like
comes
if
to
our son
water
wanted
rides.
to go on it, I would be like, okay, I'll do it for you. That's
Yes.
the only person.
Yeah. Yeah, there, and there's like, Blondie references and Blondie's you can actually eat. It's a quick service place. I mean, it's kind of neat to have these cool old school comic strips, that were around mid 20th century America. But Popeye, I mean, the rides themselves are neat. I mean, it's still a charming area. It's done well. I mean, it's not like, but it's nothing, it's nothing to like. I mean, I wouldn't, again.
You're talking to someone about the park. This isn't going to be the part that you focus a ton on.
Right. I'll be like, hey, if it's super hot and you want to go in Toon Lagoon, and I get it, it's called Toon Lagoon for a reason. So it's
Right.
like already kind of implies it's water based, the fact that it's called a lagoon and whatever. So and then you walk further on. So I mean, Toon Lagoon's cool. I would give Toon Lagoon probably a 7 out of 10. The area itself, only because I mean, personally for me, I mean, I do like. I wish I could spend a little bit more time there, but you sort of get pulled to the Jurassic Park archway, which is not far, right? It's right across the bridge, basically. As you pass Dudley Do-Right's, you see, the Jurassic Park, archway, and you're like, okay, we're heading into Jurassic Park. Like it's just like there's so much of a pull to go further into the park.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, like basically by Toon Lagoon and Skull Island, I think like Cabana Bay is like right there, but you can't get.
We can't.
Like you literally, if you crossed the jumped across the street, you'd be in Cabana Bay.
But
the
you
resort.
have to go all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to go all the way around. But it still. And then here's a weird thing. So like Universal. So we're getting to the next part. So you go into Jurassic Park technically in the archway, but then the first ride over there is Skull Island, Reign of Kong. So it's a weird.
Yeah.
So like I mean, I get it. I guess like.
Kind of.
I mean, I suppose that dinosaurs and Skull Island and Kong all kind of fit together in some way. And believe me, okay, so here's this is a big one for me. Like, I'm very happy that Kong is back at Universal Parks. Like I am. Like I really I feel like King Kong really helped make it really helped Universal in many ways. The whole property has in ways. But, the Kongfrontation ride that was now the Mummy, which the Mummy's great, don't get me wrong. But the Kongfrontation ride experience was so much better than the ride they have now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that Kong is there. But I've realized, and here's the great thing about Skull Island Reign of Kong, and I feel bad because you've yet to experience it because we just haven't been able to. Did we go on it? Or no, we didn't. Yeah. So, like, Reign of Kong is neat. I would say the line queue, the animatronics, they actually have sort of like a Horror Nights sort of line queue where they have, like, natives of Skull Island come out and try to scare you.
Oh, okay.
Like actual people.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So, like, this whole aesthetic and the waiting is actually really cool. And the whole, like, build up to the ride is really neat. But then the ride is, you know...
I'll let down.
Yeah, and the ride is... Okay. Well, first off, it's a people eater. Like, they put on... Like, you get on a big Kilimanjaro Safaris type vehicle.
Okay.
You put on glasses. 3D glasses, then you go into this like amphitheater, and then like there's this big fight, King Kong versus these V-Rexes, technically they're called. Yeah, and like it's cool because it's happening all around you, but it is a screen,
right?
And like of course the ride itself like moves and shakes and rattles and like but depending on where you're sitting.
Well, I was going to ask, are there a lot of visual like
yes,
yeah,
there's a lot of visual impairments.
Yeah.
So like if you're like in the middle and there's all these people around you, it's gonna be kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. It's like a modified version of what they have in California on the tram tour. Except it's not the tram, it's like the big Kilimanjaro Safari type bus type of thing. And then you walk out, or you get out of that area where they're fighting, and then there's a big, like, huge audio animatronic head of Kong.
Okay.
Which is cool. But he kind of roars, and it's a really neat animatronic. It's like, that's the whole point of going in there, I think, is to see him.
Right.
That awesome animatronic. But... compare that to Confrontation, where it was a full Kong, like his whole body, and he's like lifting you up, and it's like in this like tram, like this sky cab thing,
right?
And then he drops you, and he's roaring right in front of you. There's helicopters, and like I mean, it's totally different experience.
Yeah,
I was underwhelmed when I got off Kong Skull Island. Like, yeah, really underwhelmed.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that most people feel that way? Because I know that you have a tendency, and a lot of people do, I would say it's maybe half and half, to really appreciate, like, a full animatronic, versus something with screens, even though... I know they can kind of do more, right? They can kind of do more with less, with a screen, right? Make things more intense. Like think about movies versus movies, back 30 years ago and the things they can do. Do you think most people would prefer the other version? Do you think it's split? Or do you think most people are like you and underwhelmed by the new version? So I guess that's interesting because I'm sure most people have never been on Confrontation. But I mean, for the people that have, do you think more people are like you?
I guarantee you they like Confrontation better.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh. I mean, I would imagine... You see Kong twice in Confrontation.
Well, kind of like, when you think about at Disney how they've changed the faces of some animatronics to be like those projections or whatever that is. Yeah. Some people like those more. Some people just are like, wow, that's amazing, versus someone else like you might say, like, I don't like that. I want it to be real, like their face. Right. So I wonder if some people are more wowed by this other version because of what it can do. You know what I mean? What you're seeing is maybe more
exciting, stimulating.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I wonder what younger audiences think versus, people our age that have maybe done both. It's just interesting. Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see what people think. I think people like the ride. I think people... Is it generally more appreciated than, say, like Fast and Furious ride? Or no?
Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I think people do really like it. I mean, You're
not walking off saying that was horrible.
No, but I don't think people don't walk off going, wow, they just don't. Like, they just don't.
Right. It's just somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's a Kong 360 screen experience, and then you see Kong's head and he roars. which I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong, I love that. And listen, this is like a weird thing. It's like I'm very glad that he's still there. Like,
but
Kong's my favorite.
That seems like that's what's happening. Someone might get off the ride and be like, oh, that's pretty good because it was mediocre, and then the fact that it's Kong is kind of carrying you the rest of the way to good.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. It's in a way it's similar to Fast and Furious, which everyone hates. Like, it's notoriously notoriously Fast and Furious Supercharged is the worst ride besides Men in Black, in my opinion. It's just bad. So, but it's very similar in ways because you're driven into this area where there's screens.
Yeah.
And I think that almost, I guess that's what the issue is. It's like, am I going on a ride or am I going into a movie experience? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I get Flight of Passage is you could say it's an actual ride. It's also got a big film experience, but the way they do things is so... You feel like you're experiencing
with the music and stuff.
Kong, you're like in the middle of all these other people and stuff is happening,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but in the way it's like, I don't know, you're not as immersed, I guess. It's not like, you're not like wowed at all. So Skull Island Reign of Kong is, I would still give it probably like a 7, only because there's a lot to like about the queue. There's a cool animatronic like witch doctor.
Still do it.
Still do it.
Still experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's still a worthy experience, I think. But it's also, it's weird. Toon Lagoon's Reign of Kong. I don't know how many people are. I think Reign of Kong still gets a lot of people going into it. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's not gonna blow your mind though, And it was done very quickly. This was when Universal wanted to have a new attraction every single year. And the turnaround on this ride was very, very quick. They already had the film from California.
Right.
That they had in California for a few years. So they kind of just ported it over and then did this like overlay of the ride, the line, and and then kind of used these vehicles to kind of get people. I say the story's kind of cool, the way they set everything up. But what else? And then on to Jurassic Park.
Yes. And
Jurassic Park is getting a huge upgrade. This summer, which is the Velocicoaster.
Yeah, is it going to be near? I guess I'm just confused about the placement. So it's going to be in that area. It's in that area.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. It's in Jurassic Park, and it's sort of like it's like really close to Harry Potter. Like, so it's like you're kind of. It's like right in this area by the visitor center, and it's over the water. So it's one thing, it's interesting too, the way Universal is. Here's an interesting thing. Like, Disney's coasters are contained to an area. You know what I'm saying? Like Big Thunder is contained to its area.
Okay, I think I know you.
And it buttresses up against the end of the park, the edge of the park.
Yes.
This is like in the middle of the park, like sort of.
Yeah.
So like you're walking over the bridge to Hogwarts, and there's the steel for the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Think about it. Even what's the one in Studios? The one that you don't like. What's the name of that?
The coaster I don't like.
The red one.
Oh, in Universal, the Rip Ride Rock.
But it extends
just
back into that other area.
Oh my God,
too,
it's everywhere.
Yeah,
sorry.
Because I think of like room. They had to do that. They're like, okay, how can we fit this over here? But I feel like I know what you mean. Like, Big Thunder is in its own spot, its own dedicated area.
Yeah.
Here's Big Thunder. It's not like, let's try and fit this back over here and then over here and then over the water. But I think it's like a spacing issue. Now we're adding this later on, so we have to put it where it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. So I guess Universal's constraints, but also Universal's, in one way, you could say lack of planning. I mean, you could. Like, you know, they kind of they like, so you're going to be walking across to Hogwarts seeing the black steel of, you know, the Velocicoaster and then hearing people screaming and going right around it. Like, it just... We're getting less and less theme park and more amusement park as we go. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like theme park is, you're supposed to feel
the theme
of the area is not be totally like janked out of it. You know,
and it's funny about that. I feel like Disney overall does that better. I think they're starting to do it less than they did before.
Yeah.
I don't know if Universal really ever cared as much about that. And that's not necessarily a criticism. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in general, just standing in their park, you can see the highway sometimes, you can hear it, you can see things outside of the park, which is something that Disney doesn't really like to do. They keep in mind sight lines and all that stuff. But when you don't have as much land and... you know, you're more limited, you can't, you know, do that. And I would argue that when there are some people that don't care about that. They care more about more thrills. I just want you to put this ride here, and I don't really care how it looks if I look to the left or right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and some people do care more about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the end, I guess if it comes down to, do we care more about the sightline or do we care more about being able to put in this new ride? Universal will always opt to say, we're going to put in this new ride.
Yeah.
You know, because they tend to not recycle, but it's like, let's get something new in here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, get rid of Jaws. Put this. Let's do, you know, like they just kind of keep moving things.
They do. Jurassic Park is a really big part of the park, although it doesn't feel like it, I guess. But it is. It takes up a pretty big chunk of Islands of Adventure. Obviously, the main ride, there's Pteranodon Flyers, which is for kids. Kind of a neat ride where you kind of fly around in a Pteranodon over areas of the Jurassic Park. And then you've got, you know, Camp Jurassic, also a little thing for kids. You've also got plenty of places to eat. Thunder Falls Terrace, Pizza Predatoria, the Burger Digs. The watering hole. I've had a burger over at Burger Digs. I mean, it was just basically just a regular burger. Nothing to write home about. It wasn't crazy good, but it was still decent.
Did the job.
And they have Jurassic Park Discovery Center, which is like the main building, the visitor center, basically, of Jurassic Park from the movie. Like, I was very excited to go to this area when I first opened, because I love Jurassic Park. For many, many years as a child, was my absolute favorite movie. Like, nothing topped it. It was my favorite of all time.
Oh, wow. Even more than Indy.
More than Indy. I didn't know that. When I was young. Yeah, when I just really loved Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I'll be honest, though. For me, when I think about the park, just all of Universal in general, I think of two areas to me in my mind that have theming. And it's the Hulk and Spider-Man area.
Yeah. Marvel Superhero
whatever.
Island.
And the Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Part.
Yeah. And then not counting Harry Potter. Like, if we're to just...
Well, I mean, I feel like that's its own thing.
Isn't that weird that we do refer to that as its own thing?
I think of it as its own, like a separate park.
It is.
And they strategically put it in both parks so that you have to buy a ticket to go on the Hogwarts Express. I mean, obviously, it is super smart. But yes, that is super themed. I also think they basically just copied a replica of what is in the movie, which is what people want. But it wasn't like some, think tank of a design. They just were like, here, we're going to plop it right here.
Yeah.
But I don't think of any other part when I walk through. And it's not a criticism, but I just don't think of it as themed. I kind of feel the same way I feel when I'm walking around a Six Flags. Like, this ride is here, this ride is here, this ride is here, and this ride is here.
Right.
Generally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where
when you're in Magic Kingdom, if you're in Tomorrowland, if you're in Adventureland.
Yes.
When you cross over, you can feel it immediately.
Yes. Walt was very adamant about that. Very adamant. He wanted even the way that your feet felt.
There's
like the
no
type
denying
of pavement
if you're in Future World or
like
you just know where you are.
Yes. So One thing when this area first opened, there used to be a Triceratops encounter attraction, which was really neat. It was like an actual Triceratops was alive, and you were going in there and petting it and doing it. It was really cool. They shut it down because I guess the trikes weren't working super well all the time, so it was just kind of shut down. But it was really neat when we first went. Like, it felt like you were really there with the Triceratops.
I've always wanted to try the Pteranodon
yeah.
flyer thing.
It
looks kind of cool.
When we take Harrison, we'll go on it. It's definitely cool. I don't think I've been on it either. There was a really cool Halloween Horror Nights house in this area. The Lion Cube.
I really wish they would bring.
It was neat.
HHN.
It was like a jungle.
Islands.
It was like a jungle setting. It was.
I mean, think about how much money they would make if they could extend like a few houses into the other side, and then like if you wanted to go to that side, you could buy an extra ticket or a ticket that was more money. Everyone would do it.
Yes.
And I think it would just be the vibe over there would be awesome.
They're probably going to do.
I mean, they will, right? We're going to make it bigger eventually when all this stuff passes. It will happen eventually.
Yep. It's exciting. I mean, it was a really cool Horror Nights when it was in Islands. It was neat.
How long ago did they switch it?
Oh gosh, it was a long time ago.
Oh, okay, so it's been quite some time.
It's been quite some time since it's been fully into studios, pretty much nonstop. It was at studios first, and then they decided, hey, we got a new park. Let's do it in this new park. And I think it worked really great, but I'm sure it was just maybe too much to do. Studios is probably way easier to transform.
Yes.
Definitely is way easier to transform.
There's nothing going on there.
Right. We'll get into that in a few podcasts. So, Ash, Jurassic Park. Now, it's interesting that you say that because I'm pretty sure that your thought process of what areas of the park you feel are the most themed and the most immersive. I'm sure this had to do with Steven Spielberg saying, "I want this part of the park to be top notch. It's Jurassic Park. It's it's really important to me that this be good." I'm sure that's what he said. Mm-hmm. And then they had actually had a ride in California. The Jurassic Park ride was there in California for a long time. So they've since redid that one to make it Jurassic World. But the one here in Islands of Adventure is still Jurassic Park. And it's very much akin to a traditional Disney animatronic boat ride.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're talking theming, it's probably the best ride.
Yeah.
Best themed ride in the park.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, you go on the boat. It's a nice, pretty boat. I mean, it's very pleasant. The beautiful, the John Williams music's playing, and you're going actually on the tour of Jurassic Park.
Right, the story makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think slow boat rides or whatever you want to call them tend to have the ability to be the most themed and immersive.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a great, you go into the Hadrosaur Lagoon and the Stegosaurus area and the Apatosaurus area and there's the music's there and it's very pretty, it's very relaxed, it's very chill. And then of course you go off course.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you hear the siren.
Yeah. You see the Dilophosaurus. And then you hear the guy over the radio going, "Oh no, that's rabbit!" Help! And there's little compies on the boat, hopping around, and you're like, "Oh crap!" O-S-H.
Asterisk T.
Asterisk T. And then you're going through, and you go up, and then the raptors start attacking. I mean, we're giving away everything, but it's
most people that listen to this probably been on a ride.
And I'll be honest. For me, again, give me this kind of ride over a screen centric ride any day. Like, this is a cool, like, we're in it, we're experiencing it.
Well, right.
You
I mean,
know.
it's hard for me to say, like, when we were talking about Spider-Man. I mean, it's such a great ride. But in the end, when you're entertained by something that's more tangible, it's hard to not pick that over. I mean, Spider-Man's amazing. We talked about it. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's so great. And it's hard to compare the two. But when you can do something without, like, the glasses and the screens, whatever, there's just something about that that's really great.
Yeah. So you know, we go up, and then of course the T-Rex starts hunting you as well, and he like slashes the area, and you know, at one point the T-Rex actually would make 2 appearances, but I don't know if they do the 2 anymore, but he would like chomp down at you.
Head down.
Yeah, you put your head down before he would actually do the very end part, where he comes through the waterfall and he lunges out at you, and you're already falling down this huge drop. I mean, that drop is huge.
It's big.
It really is a great drop. Like, this ride gives you the feels.
Well, I mean, when you're going up and it's all dark in there and you see like the raptors running around, I mean, you do, no matter how many times you've been on it, you can't
still
help
get
it.
scared.
You're kind of like, okay, we're still going up.
This is happening. Yeah.
And then I always forget if it goes like straight down or if
it
you
does.
kind of... No, but I mean, is there a part where you get to the top where you kind of wind around a little bit? Because in my head, I always forget about that. You know, I always just think we're going to get to the top. And go down kind of like Splash Mountain when you get to that final part. And then I'm always like, okay, well, like when? You know, you get that anticipation. And
yes, yeah. And then, of course, you get to the area, the water, the steam, and then the T-Rex jumps out.
So great.
You know, you're like, ah! And then you fall down this huge thing, and it's over.
And every time you go on it, I always forget how close you feel that you get to the T-Rex head.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, every time I'm like, oh, it's not that close. No, it's close.
No, it's fun. It feels close. It feels fun.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is just it's a beautiful area. There's waterfalls. There's dinosaurs. There's John Williams. There's music. I mean, this is the ultimate, like, you know, I would say from a purely film standpoint, in Islands of Adventure, this is the top, right? You know, from the actual film perspective of Universal Studios, which the whole conceit, the marketing for Universal was ride the movies. Well, this is definitely a ride the movies
That was the
experience.
plan at one time.
Yes, and now it's sort of all over the place. But sorry, you know, so Jurassic Park, you guys, I love it. Gosh, I really don't ever want it to... I think this will be safe.
Well, do you think that they'll ever change it to World?
No.
Or do you think they're doing
Epic Universe will have
okay.
World. Yeah.
Interesting.
Universal's Epic Universe Park will have a Jurassic World section, is my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're safe. I think this will stay. Because if you think about it, it makes sense for it to stay. Because the whole film franchise, right, has Jurassic Park, you know, echoes of the earlier park. Like, they go to the island, you know, like Jurassic World is built on the island. And they can almost, like, keep that storytelling going.
Right. This
you know
is
what I mean?
like where it went
this is
bad.
Back in time.
Yeah. And
right?
now
and
this is...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now you're in Jurassic World, and it's rebuilt, and it's beautiful, and it's new. And imagine what kind of ride they could do at Jurassic World.
Total nerds.
I know. Gosh, I just love talking about that. So
It does make sense.
Yeah, imagine what kind of ride they're going to do with Jurassic World.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Like,
I hope it has something to do with that sphere, the ball.
If they don't do the gyros, yeah, you're right. It's got to be the gyros.
Gotta be the gyros.
Not our dino. No, that's a different dinosaur ride. But
just as upscale.
Yeah. Black sheets and black legs.
Neon dino heads. Love it. I love it.
So, I mean, guys, I think Jurassic Park is, for me, like almost maybe the Pirates of Islands of Adventure. Like, I just love it, and I don't want it to ever go anywhere. And please, for the love of God, Universal, never ever close this ride, because it's film history, right? And the Jurassic franchise is still going strong. So it's like it's familiar. It's still a popular area of the park, and it's great that they gave it some love.
Yeah.
And they're giving it Velocicoaster.
Yeah.
Which, it's weird. This is where it starts, like, the Velocicoaster, if you look at it, looks like the Raptor Pen. Like,
Yes,
the
that's
area.
cool. I didn't know that.
See, that's neat.
That's cool.
See, I'm glad that they're keeping with
See,
theme
but then
there.
to me, that seems like it goes more with Jurassic World. So why wouldn't they put that?
No, the Raptor Pen's in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but
It looks like the Jurassic Park Raptor Pen, I think. I looked at it. I was
think
like,
so?
Yes. I was like, this does look like the Jurassic Park Raptor Pen. It does.
Okay. Well, then I feel better about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're
Otherwise,
our
we're
theory of
messing
the two.
stuff up. Although I'm sure blue is going to be there, which would break, which would break it a little bit. But it's fine.
I can look past it.
I'm sure Velocicoaster, from all I've heard and the way we've watched, like I've literally watched like the ride on loop like 8,000 times. It
seems predictable.
looks like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Something, what's bothering you?
That
Someone
hammering.
is hammering or doing something.
Always in our
People won't
neighborhood.
hear it, though. People won't hear it on the podcast.
Okay.
All right, so Ash, let's give Jurassic Park ride, well, the area and the ride, a score.
I would give it's hard for me to rate the area. I just don't really think of it. But I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And here's why. I feel like the dino head, the T-Rex head at the top, doesn't it not always work?
Yeah, sometimes it's just frozen.
Kind of like the Yeti situation.
Yeah. I think it works more than...
If it weren't for
the
that,
Yeti doesn't work
when
at
it's
all.
working, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I love that ride. It's exciting. It's thrilling every time. I love when you're in the ride in the beginning, everyone's like, oh no, we're off course. Everyone that's been on the boat is like...
I know, everyone's
everyone's like, oh no. It's like so great. And you talk to the other people on the boat. And then you go up the hill and everyone gets real serious.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, okay, this is
crap,
getting scary.
I forgot. Yeah.
There's raptors after us. There's a lot of teeth.
But I feel like
us.
we always laugh at someone else or we're laughing with someone else on that ride.
Yeah.
And we have a great time. It delivers. So I would say when the T-Rex is working, it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on that one, too. I do wish that some of the early Hadrosaur, Stegosaurus, like some of those animatronics are a little... Mm-hmm. I don't even think they're animatronics either. I think, again, there's like those animatic things. Some are a little janky.
Like, lift up out of the water.
Yeah, like little too robotic in some ways. Like, I feel like with the technology we have, they could maybe upgrade those, but that would be a lot of money. And it is a water ride as well, so like they have water plus all these high tech electricity things happening too. So I mean, I get it. I'm not complaining, honestly. It does, but when you go on it, you'll realize, okay, that looks pretty cheesy, but it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's still Jurassic Park. It's still amazing, and it's never get rid of it. It's great storytelling. It's a great attraction. So yeah. All right, so we covered a lot of ground today. We covered Two Lagoon, which we recapped. It's like a 7. A lot of people just kind of overlook this area, but it is a place to take your kids, especially the Olive, the ship, and stuff like that. It's neat. If you want to get wet, you'll definitely get wet in this area.
Yeah.
Skull Island, Reign of Kong. Really neat experience. A lot of great line queue. The ride is okay. Kong is great. And then, of course, Jurassic Park is just a great area that we just love and adore. And it's very jungly and, lush and tropical. And, just nostalgia factor is at play as well.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite parts of the park.
Yeah. So we give it probably, what do you give the area?
I don't know, like a 9, I guess, or an 8. I don't.
I would say an 8 because
Yeah.
I feel like it is sort of narrow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of narrow, although there is a great area if you go by the Visitors Center, which is called the Jurassic Park Discovery Center.
Do they still have that raptor thing?
Yeah, they have the raptor encounter over here.
Oh, you talked about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was called.
And
Where
they-
it jumps out at you. Or...
Well, I didn't talk about it, actually.
Oh.
They actually have, Universal has these really great, like, full-size puppets of raptors now that are just incredible. Like,
Yeah.
they're really neat. And it's like the performers are able to, like, really make them, it's really neat. So you see Blue, and you can pet Blue and do all that stuff. And there are some cool, like, photo ops sections where there's the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3.
Ooh. Let's rate the Jurassic movie.
Well, that's what,
that is what the Bandcamp exclusive is going to be.
Awesome. So, but yeah, so, it's an interesting, if you go by the visitor center, we actually, me, Dave, and Steve took pictures over here. It's actually a really nice area to go chill. It's pretty pictures, in the lagoons right there. You can look at all the other parts of the park. It's actually really nice.
Okay.
If you guys want to go just relax and go get some good photos, you gotta walk, you gotta, earn it a little bit, but it's really cool. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today. Please check us out on the Bandcamp, magicinthemidwest.bandcamp.com, you guys. Lots of great content, and for $3 you can help support us. And thank you to all the people who already do that, all the subscribers. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Well, and I want to add too,
Yeah.
we are kind of thinking about adding a segment where we interview listeners about their stories with theme parks, or maybe more specifically Disney, and how their love for Disney came to be, or maybe it's Universal. So if you're interested in maybe making an appearance, or not an appearance,
What?
They're not going to appear because it's not visual.
Right.
I don't know what that word is. If you would like to be interviewed on the
Yes.
podcast,
Yes. We would love it.
Your Disney story, Snorri. I think it's the second time I've done
really. Are you
Sorry, guys.
okay?
No.
No, definitely not.
Just shoot us an email or message us on Instagram, and maybe we can set that up. We're excited about adding that in. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
magicinthemidwestpodcast@gmail.com, and you can tell us why you love Disney or Universal, and be featured.
Yes, we would love that. And you know what? I'm going to start recruiting very soon, so get ready.
Yeah, if no one volunteers, I'm
going to start getting you guys.
Start assigning it.
I'm coming after you. Mm-hmm. Also, if you need anything insurance-wise, guys, hey, I passed all my tests now. So I'm licensed
Wow,
completely.
Guys. It's like for real now.
So if you need home, auto, life, anything, people have been reaching out to me about life insurance a lot too. So guys, there's so many options.
Super important to have life insurance.
I think it is.
As you get older, not older, but just, if you have a family and you kids and stuff, just to make sure everyone would be taken care of.
Yeah.
In the event that
something crazy happens.
Yeah. It's a crazy world.
It is. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from the Midwest. See you later.